तो मैंने 200 रुपये बचाने के चक्कर में छोटा ट्राइपॉड ले लिया। तो मेरा ट्राइपॉड इतू सा था, तो मैं बोला शिट, इसमें तो खड़े रह के भी शूट नहीं कर सकते हैं। तो मैं बोला कोई बात नहीं, बैठ के शूट करते हैं। एंड दैट्स हाउ थिंग्स कुल स्टार्टेड, वेयर आई सैट ऑन द ग्राउंड. माई लाइट वॉज सनलाइट. My camera was a broken OnePlus 7 selfie camera, and I did not have a fancy background. It was just a white wall. And being an unemployed engineering kid, I was generating a massive revenue of 3,000 rupees per month. So we flew to Delhi and we did a podcast with Nirmala Sitharaman ma'am, and she loved it. She was like, yeah, I mean, I wish journalists asked me such sensible questions. We started from our bedroom, and something this magical happened merely because of two very, very important things. Number one, we posted consistently high quality content. And more importantly, this content became impactful in the lives of the people to an extent where business professors began using our case studies as learning materials in their colleges. Go and find that minimum viable audience who exactly is watching your content. Hi guys, are you able to hear me? Everybody? Okay, thank you.
Okay, amazing. So before I came here, I was telling Ganesh that part of the reason why I'm okay with doing this is because I know I'm going to have to speak very little, and he will take over the burden of doing the creative storytelling from me, right? So before we get started, Ganesh, could you tell us a little bit about what your journey has been like on YouTube, and tell us a little, demystify some of those milestones that people talk about when they think of YouTube. First 1,000 subscribers, first 100,000, first brand deal. Can you tell us about your milestones and your journey and what you've done to accelerate it?
Cool. By the way, guys, I just want to get a sense of the room over here. How many of you are podcasters here? Can you please put your hands up? Okay. And how many of you guys are just talking head content creators? As in you just speak directly to the camera? Very few. And I'm sensing that the ambition, the problem that we're trying to solve through this conference is basically how to grow on YouTube using podcast. Is that correct? Yes? Yes, guys? So, Monica and I, we were just brainstorming about how to make this more efficient in order to make sure that all of your problems are catered to, all of your challenges are catered to. So, as we speak, we'll also ask you questions on what are the most important problems that you are trying to solve, so that if at all we have solutions, we can help you out with it. Are you guys with me? Guys? Okay. So guys, I don't know how many of you know Think School already. How many of you over here know Think School? Oh, surprisingly a lot of people. Even Radha sir knows Think School. I'll take that as a compliment, sir. Thank you so much. Guys, Think School started out as a very simple YouTube channel with a broken Amazon Basics tripod with MCL on top of it because the tripod was always like, and then I attached a OnePlus 7 phone on top of it, used the selfie camera because I did not know how to use a camera back then, and because थोड़े पैसे बचाने के चक्कर में मैंने क्या किया, वो जो Amazon Basics का ट्राइपॉड में 2 साइज आता है, पता है ना तुमको? एक जिसमें खड़े रह के शूट कर सकते हैं, दूसरा जो हाफ साइज का होता है. तो मैंने 200 रुपये बचाने के चक्कर में छोटा ट्राइपॉड ले लिया. तो मेरा ट्राइपॉड इतू सा था, तो मैं बोला शिट, इसमें तो खड़े रह के भी शूट नहीं कर सकते हैं. तो मैं बोला कोई बात नहीं, बैठ के शूट करते हैं. And that's how things cool started, where I sat on the ground with my light was sunlight. My camera was a broken OnePlus 7 selfie camera, and I did not have a fancy background. It was just a white wall because that was the only wall that was clean in my house. Okay, that's how things cool started. And my mom wanted me to sell insurance. So I was like, yeah, let me just try my luck out with YouTube and see what happens. And to my surprise, something crazy happened. By the way, back then I was just an engineering dude who did civil engineering. Anybody who's an engineer over here? Okay. You guys know that the civil engineers are the worst of our breed, right? मेरे कॉलेज में जॉब तो दूर की बात, कंपनीज आती भी नहीं थी. तो जॉब तो दूर की बात, तो मैंने सोचा कि YouTube ही करके देखते हैं. And that is how we started with our YouTube channel. And being an unemployed engineering kid, I was generating a massive revenue of 3,000 rupees per month by selling a communication masterclass course. So 3,000 rupees से हम क्या करते थे? हमारा capital investment था खाना, because my mom had left to her mother's place because she wanted to have some time off, And I was left with 3,000 rupees in revenue with 30 days. So I used to buy Kaju biryani for 120 to 140 rupees depending on the delivery charge. I used to split it into 3 pieces, breakfast, lunch, and all the Kajus were left for dinner. That is how Think School started, with 3,000 rupees in revenue for the first 1 year per month, and then we scaled it to a massive 100% year-on-year growth to 6,000 rupees per month in the second year. But then something magical happened in YouTube in the third year, and that is when we took YouTube very, very seriously, and we started producing content every single week. Our goal was pretty simple. We wanted to put a dent in the Indian education system. Why? Because I had a messed up engineering college life. So I said, and I had the aspiration to go to Harvard, but then 3,000 rupees revenue से तो Harvard जा नहीं सकते. तो मैंने सोचा कि ठीक है एक काम करते हैं, Harvard तो जा नहीं सकते, but then can we put out world-class business case studies from the bedroom? Hell yes. So we started making 20-minute business case studies from my bedroom. And by the time we posted our 10th episode, something crazy happened. We had 3,000 subscribers, and that 10th episode did something absolutely magical. We went from 3,000 subscribers to 10,000 subscribers in one day. I thought this was the best day of my life. Called up my friends and told them that, guys, you know what? I think I might just be a celebrity. 10,000 log mujhe jante hain. Can you believe that? My friends were like, bro, what are you saying? This is insane, bro. But then the next day, something even more crazier happened. We started to hit 10,000 subscribers every single day to hit 100,000 subscribers in just 10 days. फिर मैं क्या किया, वापस फोन घुमाया, दोस्तों को बोला, guys, और बड़ा सेलिब्रिटी बन चुका हूं मैं. But then something even crazier happened. We started to hit 100,000 subscribers every month. To hit 1 million subscribers in 11 months, I thought the growth will stagnate. Then we started to hit 200,000 subscribers per month, to hit 2 million in the next 6 months, and then 3 million in the next 6 months. Today we stand at about 4.5 million subscribers. Now, how did this happen? Very simple. If an Amazon Basics tripod with MCL on top of it and a broken OnePlus 7 phone can be used to produce content, do you realize the moat is not production? The moat is content. And that is how we began with our podcasting journey, where we started moving away from talking head and we started venturing into podcast, because when you have the opportunity to put out a 2.5 hour long business case study with the founder of the company himself, why would you just stick to 20 minutes? So we started to have legendary entrepreneurs on the podcast to dissect their business, to give out wisdom lessons to all the people who are listening to our podcast. Why? Because we wanted to build a Harvard-like business school on YouTube for free for India. Why? Because Think School is all about one thing. We want to put a dent in the Indian education system. Okay, thank you guys. I wasn't expecting an applause. But here's where the recognition that we expected started exceeding all limits. When one day we got an email from the finance ministry, and my co-founder called me and he told me that, bro, Delhi आएगा एक podcast करने के लिए. मैंने बोला, bro, मैं gym में हूँ, तो podcast के लिए अभी मुझे क्यों call कर रहा है? He's like, yeah, bro, because this is a very important guest. आज नहीं. Guest का नाम तो सुन ले. मैंने बोला, आज नहीं. Bro, I think it's Nirmala Sitaraman. तो मैंने बोला, ये तू पहले नहीं बता सकता था कि निर्मला सीतारामन है? So he's like, I was just testing you, bro. I was testing your dedication. I was like, bullshit. So we flew to Delhi and we did a podcast with Nirmala Sitaraman, ma'am. And she loved it. She was like, yeah, I mean, I wish journalists asked me such sensible questions. So I was like, okay, that's great, whatever. And then we started to do podcasts with Shashi Tharoor sir, Nitin Gadkari sir, and we're hoping to get to the Prime Minister, and hopefully we'll get there before the next elections or during the next elections, if you know what I mean. So, do you realize, guys, we started from our bedroom. And something this magical happened merely because of two very, very important things. Number one, we posted consistently high quality content. And more importantly, this content became impactful in the lives of the people to an extent where business professors began using our case studies as learning materials in their colleges. And you know what kind of professors I'm talking about? I'm talking about professors from IIT Bombay, IIM Bangalore, even University of Sydney uses our videos as teaching materials to teach students. So I think we also ended up putting a small dent in the Australian education system as well. Okay? So that is how our journey began. And there are three important milestones and three important takeaways that I want you to take back from this event so that you can also go on to do something extraordinary, because I believe doing something extraordinary on YouTube is very easy if you produce great content, because YouTube is the best co-founder you could ever have.
I did not pay him to say that.
Oh yeah. Guys, do you realize YouTube is so magical that I could just produce 20 minutes of great content and YouTube decides to take it to a business professor from IIM. YouTube decides to take it to 1 million people across the planet who are interested in business content. And when we started producing geopolitical content, we started to get international audience. Basically means lots of money, because American audience जब भी content देखती है तो YouTube ज़्यादा पैसा देता है. Okay? And today we have 30% international audience out of the 4.5 million subscribers. So the first takeaway that I want you to realize is that YouTube is the most powerful co-founder you can have if you are a content creator. And if you want that co-founder to act in your favor, you have to do two very important things. A, understand your audience insanely well. Who exactly is watching your content? Whether that's a business student, a professor, an investment banker in our case, who exactly is watching your content? And the moment you understand that minimum viable audience, the tribe who's watching your content, the next step should be to make sure that you create maximum impact in their life. We do it through business education. You could do it through entertainment or education. You can choose your route. But unless you have a significant impact in their life, they will not come back to watch your content. It's almost like an FMCG business. Everybody over here understands how an FMCG business works. In fact, today I was speaking to the founder of Nilon Achar. It's a 500 crore achar company. And I was asking him, what if tomorrow $1 billion company comes and beats you in your business? He mentioned one thing which stuck with me, and I think that applies for content as well. In the consumer business, no amount of money can push your product all across the country. The only push that can turn your company into a 1,000 crore company is the push of the customers. आपने hair oil बेचा, customer का बाल अच्छा हो गया तो वापस आके hair oil खरीदेगा. आपने customer को free में hair oil भी दिया, अगर उसके बाल झड़ने लग गए तो customer आपके पास वापस नहीं आएगा. Treat yourself as an FMCG company, because instead of fast moving consumer goods, we are in the world where there is fast moving content. And when there is fast moving content, you need to act like an FMCG company to deliver result, impact in the life of your customers. So what are the three most important takeaways over here? Takeaway number one, you could start with a broken tripod MC 1+7 phone, which is broken, and you could still do insanely well, because the moat is not production, it is content. Why? Because your co-founder is the most powerful search algorithm in the world, which is called YouTube. So produce great content, neki kar darya mein dal. Takeaway number two. If you want to produce great content, the definition is quite subjective. So go and find that minimum viable audience. Who exactly is watching your content? Go and talk to those people and try and produce the kind of content that genuinely impacts their life. It could be education or entertainment. The moment you find that impact that you can cause in somebody's life and you do that repeatedly, you will go on to do a wonderful job. And I'm telling you, once you ace this, you can go on to build $1 million business in less than 3 years. So when you go back home, please remember, you have the first principles of building $1 million business with content. Is that clear, guys? Is that clear? Perfect.
Okay, that was, I think I'll have to have a chat with my boss about how I want to start a podcast now. Right? All right, I'm going to open it out to the room here. I do have like a follow-up question for you, but if there are any folks in the room that have a question for Ganesh, let us know. We'll send a mic your way. Anybody in the room with, okay, we have some questions there. Can we get them a mic? Yeah? Okay, great. Oh, we actually need it there.
Hello, everybody. Both of you are looking great and doing great. Appreciate
so
your
much.
work.
Thank you.
And first of all, congratulations for your journey. Second of all, is my question is, I have launched a podcast with utmost sincerity and value-adding intentions. I do research work. I make content. Content does well. Some of the content does well. Some of the content doesn't perform really well. One of the challenges that I'm currently facing is the access to great minds. It's a vicious circle. I don't have numbers which will have access to great minds, and access to great minds, I know I have the capability to bring out the best out of them as a podcast host and as a entertainer that I perform magic with them. I do have the USP, I do have the research work, I do have the capabilities as a communication host. But one of the challenges that I'm facing is access to great minds. That is what something that I'm stuck upon. That how can I have access to great minds? I do have great connects, and I try and get great guests on the podcast. But then I do have limitations.
Got it. Guys, let's analyze this problem, okay? In podcast, when we did this conference last time in Delhi, I mentioned that you have to look at podcast as a product, and that product is a function of two things, the guest and the host. Okay? Think of yourself as the consumer. If there is an unknown guest and an unknown host, and this podcast is an hour-long podcast, would you choose to watch it? Would you choose to watch it?
Mostly no.
Because the competition that you have, there is Netflix, known shows. Netflix पे भी हम एक्सपेरिमेंट करने के लिए कितना डरते हैं कि 2 घंटा इसको कमिटमेंट देना पड़ेगा, उससे बेटर ये है कि आई विल वॉच ऑफिस, ब्रुकलिन 99 एंड फ्रेंड्स. How many of you guys go back and watch the Netflix sitcoms again and again at night just because you're too tired to test something out?
Yes.
Very few. बाकी लोग फिर क्या करते हो रात को? I'm surprised. I'm curious to know. Anyways, so when there is so much of known content out there, the unknown content goes down. And when that happens, you enter that vicious cycle where nobody is discovering you, and because nobody is discovering you, nobody wants to be on the podcast, and so on and so forth. Guys, this is the reason why we did not start out with podcast right away. We wanted to get there, but we never started out that way. The way we did that is just by building distribution by ourselves.
Yes.
And that gives us insane leverage. In fact, my friend Ayush Shukla, he's just starting a podcast. I told him, do not rely on the guest. Because the guest might come today, they might not come tomorrow. But if you build your brand solely on yourself, that's an insane leverage. In fact, if you only do a podcast where you're solely dependent on the guest for the viewership, that's also a bad thing.
Yes, absolutely.
You know why? Because those people will not be, they won't be returning viewers. They will be new viewers. They'll come and go. But अभी FMCG के case study से हमने क्या सीखा? क्या हमें नए-नए customers चाहिए? Do we want only new customers, guys?
No.
New customers or returning customers?
Returning.
Returning customers. Which is why you have to build your distribution by yourself in such a way that people come and watch the content for you. When you become the brand, automatically you can lend your social currency to your guest, eventually generate viewership for your podcast. It's the hardest thing to do, but once you do it, you will enter the virtuous cycle. Because you generate very high viewership, you will get great guests. Because you get great guests, you will generate very high viewership, and the cycle will continue.
So your suggestion would be to create both the content simultaneously, like podcast and
Don't do it
personal?
simultaneously.
Okay.
Do it completely by yourself, because
Okay.
I always recommend doing only one thing.
Okay.
Just one thing. Do that one thing so well that it eventually gets you to a decent audience, let's say 300K to 500K. And from there on, if you do a podcast, the discoverability of the podcast will be very, very high, eventually putting you from a vicious cycle to a virtuous cycle.
Absolutely. I can correlate with your example with one of the most, all the successful creators. Ranveer also established his audience as a fitness creator first, and then he pivoted into podcast.
Correct.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay.
Folks, I'm so sorry, but I'm getting multiple signals from multiple places saying that we've got to wrap up. I apologize. I feel like I took up too much of your time with my pitch at the beginning, but I want you to know that Ganesh is here. I'm here. Come find us. But I will listen and wrap up this session right now. But thank you so much for being here, Ganesh.
Thank you, guys. I hope it was helpful enough for you guys. Thank you.